Hello, Matt Elliott here.
Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
For all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels.
for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
Happen in 49, 61, 63 or 69 when they reach the final. But the class of 2021 have delivered. Leicester City are FA Cup winners at last and are history makers at Wembley.
They have blown their rivals away. They have blown us all away in truth. Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City!
Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Right, Chris.
Let me bring myself in and then you can see me. Welcome back, Leicester. I mean, what went wrong there? I mean, it was an exciting game, I think, for the neutral. It was end to end. And we just let it go again at the end at 95 minutes into a 94-minute game, because 94 was when there was 4 minutes added time, and we let them do that. I mean, all right, took a deflection, blah 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 blah, but we shouldn't have been doing. I mean, do you blame Brendan? Do you? I mean, arguments are, if he's going for it, then, he's going to leave himself open at the back. If he doesn't and he goes defensive, then, why wasn't he going for the win? It's a bit of a no lose-lose situation for him. It hurts. I'm not going to deny it. It hurts. To lose in that fashion hurts. I mean, we were up against a lot better Newcastle team than we played earlier in the season. I mean, that, you can see that just from the general play. The goal, should Schmeichel have sat on the ball? And I don't know why the referee had to go and look at it, because I thought he was going to give it anyway. But I'm lost. I am just literally lost for words. And I can see Newcastle fans smiling away in the green room there. And I'm not going to let him on till he stops smiling. I promise you. This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Find us on YouTube at Leicester Till I Die TV. And if you're watching on YouTube, please do smash the likes, share if you're able to, but most of all, please subscribe to the channel. And if you're listening to this on podcast, whether that be Apple iTunes, Amazon, Google, Spotify, whatever your favorite platform is, we are everywhere. And we're going to KV, welcome back, mate. You put up with me for 90 minutes earlier. Thanks a lot for popping back in. Yeah, I'm still gutted, mate. I'm still gutted, but well done. And you've got to say, in fairness, well done for Newcastle. They've stayed up. They played well, and we're going to be playing them again next season. So we could probably get our own back then. Apparently we are missing Brad. I don't know where he is. Chloe doesn't know where he is. Maybe we have lost Brad. Maybe we should bring a book out. Where's Brad? Who knows? KV, quite right there. It's unfortunate for Leicester. A draw was a fair result. I think it would have been. But like I say, well done to you guys. You didn't give it up, and that's the main thing. Maybe we switched off. I don't know. It's a bit reminiscent of the Watford playoff. Oh, God, that shivers down my spine. Look, let's get him in. He's sat smiling away. Yes, you may well do that. Put your mask on, sir. Put your mask on. Well done, mate. How are you feeling? You must be feeling happy. Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I can now. Yes. Yep.
Listen, I did not think it's a good game. I really didn't. I thought it was a poor game.
Right.
It's just like watching it's like watching the game, which is end of season on the beach, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, it's just 5 moments why we won the game. It's just Willock made it happen and did a lovely ball, right? Took a deflection and it fell perfectly to Bruno, right? That ball could have gone anywhere. Unfortunately for us, it went straight to Bruno and he headed into the back of the net. But I thought the game today is just like a testimonial feeling today. I can't lie. I mean, we needed to win that game.
But I did a watch along with a Newcastle fan, and I said it did have a feel of one of, because you were, even if you lost today, you're not going to go down. I mean, I know mathematically you're not safe, but if you're telling me Everton, Burnley, Watford, and Norwich we're going to get enough wins to catch you up, no, they weren't. They're never going to. We aren't going to qualify for Europe, definitely not now, via the league. Our mind's on maybe Europe and the semi-final coming up. And it did feel to me like one of those dead-end matches at the end of the season where nobody had anything to play for, because a win, if we'd won, we would have still stayed ninth. The only thing was, I could say that it did guarantee you staying up, but you were safe anyway.
Yeah, excuse me, absolutely right. I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, the thing is, right, I expected goals today. Didn't come. And I thought for the first minute, I thought it's going to be one of those games where it's going to be like, it's going to be like a slower paced game today. I expected fun that of both sides today. But I have to agree with you as well. But I think it's like a testimonial game. But it was both going to be safe anyway. But look, there's been some good moments, been some bad moments again. ASM, I mean, I like him, but the only good thing he'd done today was that through ball to Joe Linton, and that was about it today. Again, I expect a lot more from ASM, and
he was very isolated at times, though. He was making the runs, and there was no other Newcastle player up there supporting him.
Yeah, I have to agree, sort of thing. He's doing bits, but I want to see movement from the ball from midfield, helping him out. I mean, there's moments when Shelby played a lovely ball across to him. It's just no one there. But again, I thought the midfield, first half, you controlled our midfield, Chris, in the first half. Yeah, I thought it was very slow races as well. And we just couldn't keep up with you at all whatsoever. But I thought defensively we did okay. There's one special person I'm going to mention today. It's not everyone's cup of tea. And I mentioned him yesterday, Emil Kraft. I thought he was excellent today. The second half, I think he defended well. I thought that tackle on Lookman was absolutely outstanding, right? He had to get that tackle right, and he got it right. And, it's not my favourite player, but at the end of the day, last couple of games, I thought he's been playing really, really well. I think he's been excellent. But it's a shame it took nearly 3 seasons to work him out, because I watched him Bologna. It was just bang average. He's been poor every single time. He's been targeted every week. But hey, today, I thought he's been excellent today. And now Trippier's going to come back in very soon, and he's going to lose his place again. So other than that, Leicester, your boys, I thought you played first half. I thought he's really well. I thought you done really well.
I thought it was quite end to end, but let's face he's here. I think he took the scenic route. Maybe he hadn't paid his electricity bill. Let's face it, we're all struggling to pay those at the moment, aren't we? Or he was just asleep, because he does like his afternoon naps. He's getting on a little bit now, so let's bring him in and say hello, Brad.
Howdy, mate. No, I was confused by you, mate. You said quarter past, you said quarter to, and then you sent me a link, and now you're already starting. I can't. I'm not a mind reader, mate. I can't be on time. I can't be late if you don't tell me when we're starting.
I think the last one was quarter past, and we were running a bit late because of various different things.
No worries. I was literally just finishing up dinner anyway, so it gave me a bit of a chance to finish that and just sort everything out anyway. So.
To be honest with you, that obviously, you know, it happens, and you never know when these games finish how long you're going to need to sort of just generally talk before, you know, before you go live. I mean, explain that one to me. How do we let that one slip, Brad?
Poor game management. I mean, look, I don't condone it, but if I have flashbacks to what Shearer stamping on Neil Lennon's face in the late 90s did, Tielemans, take him out. Take him out of the game. Take him into the stands. Take him down the tunnel with you. Pick him up and throw him into the stand. Just take Willock or Maxman, whoever it was. Take him out. 1-1, frustrating. Newcastle do a great defensive job. You take the point. It's frustrating. We can't break Newcastle down, but credit to them. They were a great side in that second half. They clearly exploit the fact that we don't have a plan B and stuck to their jobs well. You won all away from home. He flicks the ball past you. He makes a mug off you with his great touch. Yuri, take him out. Take the yellow card. Take the card. All right, maybe even a red card because you take him out. But if you take him out cleverly, as they say, you get a yellow card for that. Just take him out. Game ends 1-1. We shake hands. But hey, credit to Newcastle. They did a top one to us and we deserved it. We got what we deserved by not finding that cutting edge in the second half. So, better play to John. Your team staying in the Premiership. But
this is it, you know. I mean, I said at the start, it felt very much. I mean, it was a bit end to end at times, and it's. I know John didn't seem to. I thought it was, you know, wasn't a boring game by any means, but it did have that feeling of a end of season game. You know, we're not going to get into Europe really by the league. We were sort of, you know, I was perhaps fooling myself thinking we might go on a run, but we're not going to go down. It's the same for Newcastle. Yes, this does guarantee that they're staying up, but at the end of the day, they weren't going to go down. There's 4 teams worse off than them this season. We know who they are. I say it just had that feel about it, really. I mean, Luca says here, good evening, Luca. How the devil are you, sir? He says, Leicester are focusing on the Conference League. Do you think that was at the back of our minds?
I think it could be really sort of thing because Leicester's not going to win, get in the top 6. They're not going to win a trophy this season, but they're going for the Europe, the conference as well. So Roma's going to be a tough game for you guys. I mean, Roma are playing much better now under Jose Mourinho, but it could be that. I think it could be that. I think they're going to try and win for a trophy sort of, and that's why they arrested Lee Madison as well. He didn't start today, didn't Harvey Barnes, Jamie Vardy didn't play. Only your big guns really didn't play at all, but look, at the end of the day, but I enjoyed the game to a point, but happy for 3 points, but I'd take the 3 points over the performance any time of the day. But 5 home wins straight, right? And that is absolutely fantastic. Eddie Howe's done a wonderful job at that football club as well. But for me, I think he'd concentrate more on the conference. He did try, but he had a few chances as well, by the way.
Agree with that, Brad?
Not much.
No. Would you agree with that, Brad? Would you think our minds were on the conference?
We've been saying for a few weeks that juggling both is going to be difficult, and at some point Leicester are going to have to push all their eggs into one basket. And it kind of hurts a little bit today with more frustration because you look at the result. You look at West Ham struggling to a point, you know, against Burnley, and again it makes it look even worse because they're doing Thursday, Sunday, like we've been doing it, and then they show today that it's taking it out of their team, and they've got a point against Burnley, and you know, in the end, are you just thinking if we hold on to that point, then there's no damage done, or if we could have found that winner, you know, both still is a little option. Yes, I think even if Brendan was to sit here and give him true serum, he would have honestly said before this game that the focus is 60-40 on preparing and making sure we're fully fit and rested and ready to go for Roma. But we didn't hide away from the fact that despite the point gap, you know, we were still looking to get 6th place, and it's just unfortunate that that's killed it off. It's killed it off.
I think it, for me, I don't think we're going to even sort of be able to get into the Europe places by the league. David says here, and we'll look at the teams now. He says, I think we were just rotating because of so many games. That was definitely right. I don't begrudge Rodgers' changes as we had to. Issues for me, no true penetration other than Fafana and KDH. Who else can tackle? I mean, looking at these teams, we'll come to you first, John. How pleased were you with the starting lineup for Newcastle? I know Alex, who did the watch along with me, he was pleased with your team.
Yeah, I was pleased as well. I mean, Ryan Fierce's out with a hamstring. Media's come in, which I'm pretty pleased about. I think the 4-3-3 formation is absolutely perfect. That formation is absolutely perfect. Bruno in the midfield with Joe Linton and then Johnson Shelby come in. I would like to see Willock starting the game. Take Shelby, yes, but at the end of the day, Eddie team he's got to get the results right. But look, I'm happy with the team, but I certainly wasn't very happy for the first half an hour. I saw we got overrun in the midfield, but we sort of fixed up after that. We tried to play football in a way, and we just played a bit better. But if you look at the equalising goal, we come on to in a bit, I'm sure, but. Formation-wise,
we'll come on to the John. Sorry, we'll come on to the goal in a second. Our team, Brad, surprised to see Perez back, but I mean, he didn't. He looked okay in that game. He got an assist again. What surprises me looking at that lineup there is that Tielemans was as high as he was on 7.5. But what did you think of the starting lineup?
I didn't see anything wrong with it. We expected changes from the Thursday night. I don't like it when they compare changes from a different cup competition game. I think you should always look at the 11 that played against Crystal Palace and see how many actual changes we made to a Premier League.
That virtually was the Palace 11 bar Perez, wasn't it?
Yeah. So we didn't actually make any massive changes in terms of that. We did what any team does in that, and that's something I'll give credit for. It's something we've been starved of the opportunity to do this season. Normally, John, when we've had to make 8 changes, it's because 6 of them are enforced and the other 2 are playing with injuries. It's not normally a case of because we can rest them, that sort of thing. So and I think that's kind of showing. It's kind of showing this season, because if that's how Leicester were able to have gone through the whole season, you might have saw a bit more stamina and a bit more drive about the players that were playing today, because there was at times you could see where they looked a bit like they were blowing smoke out their old rear. They were looked a bit, drawn, because that's because they've just not been afforded much game time, or they've been out injured, so they've not played many matches. But I did not expect that team to not come away with anything from St James's Park today. It's a pretty strong lineup. And
I mean, Dewsbury Hall, I mean, he's playing every game at the moment. I mean, I know he's young, but the guy's gonna run out of steam soon, isn't he?
Oh, I mean, I hope not. Because
I hope not. But
maybe that's an area in depth we'll look to strengthen next season, because we're going to lose Yuri. Might as well face that now, even if we win the conference. Accountancy is keeping him. I'm surprised that Yuri played.
Yeah,
you remember early in the season where James Maddison was, probably because of past memories and what he did the season before, he was afforded probably 2 or 3 games more than he should have been afforded to keep his place. I think today would have been ideal to put Chowder in there, because the role Yuri's been given over the last 3 or 4 games is that holding midfielder. He'll step back and help Mendy, and he'll get the move started, but he won't always drive forward with it. And I think you could have afforded playing Hamza today, give him some rest, give him extra time to recover. Newcastle fans don't like Hamza, so because of that tackle a few seasons back. So maybe that's why he didn't keep him out of it. But then he plays Perez, and you don't like him. So I don't know. I just felt they maybe may have been a cause where Brendan goes, Yuri, I'm going to play Chowdhury. I'm going to take you out of the limelight. I'm going to let you recover a bit more, and because we've got an important game on Wednesday. to kind of bounce back from this this defeat against. And it's going to be hard going to Goodison. We don't have the best of records there.
Well, it certainly is because they've not played for about 2 weeks. It seems.
Yeah, it seems like Everton have been the most luxurious side this year. I think they've played about 2 games over Christmas. And I've had about 6 weeks off since then. But you know, I maybe would have thought let Yuri rest, get his head straight, work with him a bit off the training ground a bit, get him refocused on the job in hand. Nick a point against Newcastle, maybe a different result today if that happens, because I think Chowdhury just takes him out and puts that ball out in that scenario, and then put him in for Wednesday. But it is what it is. Maybe that's something we need to learn to stop giving extended chances to these players when they're not in form, because
I know what you're saying. I do know what you're saying, John. Chris Wood usually has a goal against us. I don't think he had a particularly good game today, though, did he? He was taken off.
You didn't get the service. That's the thing. And if you don't get the service from up front, what you have to do, you have to drop back deep and help out, sort of thing. He didn't even do that neither, sort of thing. But I wanted him to do well for Newcastle, but I thought today he should have had that. He had a header in the first half. He should have put away. When a lovely cross from Joel Linton after hard work pulled it back, and Wood had that header, went for the near post header, and it just didn't come off at all. So that was his best and early chance. But other than that, he didn't do much today. And you know, when you're a striker, you have to do more. If you can, drop deep, help out, sort of thing. But he didn't really do that today. But I've got a lot of people saying that in a pressing team, he does pressing a lot. But today, it just wasn't this day. And Eddie was right to take him off in the end.
Brad, I mean, a couple of players I want to speak to you about, and then we'll look more in depth at the match. Tielemans, first of all, we have mentioned him. You know, Jason, who obviously joins us every now and again, he was absolutely breathing fire about him at the end of the watch along. You know, he should be dropped now. He's on his way. Why are we playing him? Blah, blah, blah. Just on Tielemans, was he that bad? Or is it a case, as I actually said during the show, sometimes with those sort of players, are we expecting, because of who they are, too much week in, week out? And that, you know, his sort of normal game, you know, how can I put this? I don't know if you know what I'm trying to say here, but, you know, because he's that our top player, are we expecting too much of him, Brad? Was he that bad today?
Look, I'll touch on it more in my tactics segment, but our indecisiveness doesn't help him. And doesn't help us as a team in general. I think Leicester fans are right to be expecting of him because he is a talent, and I'm sure he had higher expectations of his own performance today. I never ever want to hear somebody telling me that Yuri Tielemans is not playing to put in a performance and he doesn't care, because he does care and he does. But whilst I can maybe excuse for the last couple of games that he's been given a different role, which, like I said, is that holding midfield. He's one that we prefer to see sat up front, up higher up with Maddison, don't we? We've become quite accustomed to them being either side of our lone striker, sitting behind the wingers and being involved. And he's not really allowed to do that in the freedom that he's used to, because of the injury to Ndidi. Maybe it's still a lack of trust in Mendy. I don't utterly know. I just think maybe he's getting analysed more and hyper criticised more because he's leaving, because there's just over 12 months left of his contract, because he's not signing a new deal, and maybe more unjustified, he's the scapegoat this season. And I don't like it, because it's not his fault that he is ambitious and wants to play. He loves Leicester and would want to stay here if we're matching our ambitions, and there's not yet ruled out sitting down with him in the summer and saying, okay, I signed a contract, I want a release clause for a Champions League club, they come into me, I'm off, thanks very much. He's not going to throw his toys out with Mahrez. We've been saying it for 12 months prior to this. We should be enjoying it, we should be embracing it. And maybe there's a part of him that needs a Maddison. He needs that taken out, given them 2 or 3 games, especially coming before Roma, because I think we've got Everton, and then I believe Aston Villa, don't we? I could be wrong. It might be different round. Take him out for them 2 games, right? And unless someone has the performance of a lifetime that isn't Kieran Dewsbury Hall, get him on for the last 10, 15 minutes against Villa, or hold him back and let him loose against Roma and let him have that freedom. Stop being. I can understand he needs time out and he didn't have his best of games, but maybe don't over criticize him just because of all the circumstances surrounding him as a person. Because he still gives it that. He's still cheering. He's still encouraging his teammates with applauding them. He's still patting the badge. So he is focused on doing all he can whilst he still remains a Leicester player. Do not question his commitment to this club, because why he puts on a shirt, he's always committed. Just because it's not going right on the pitch doesn't mean that's the difference. There's a difference between things going wrong on the pitch and showing you're not committed. Because if you're not committed, Rodgers will put him on the bench and he won't play for the rest of the season. And I just don't see that in him. I
mean, let me just show you this picture that I found earlier, and I posted it. You've probably seen it already, Brad. It went on Twitter and Facebook. But this was this player that some people are saying isn't concerned for us, isn't bothered for us. This is him and Ricardo at the end of the PSV match. Now, you tell me, you know, and as John, as an outsider, does that player Tielemans, does he look unhappy there?
Doesn't sound like it, does he? I mean, he seems that and he's enjoying himself.
Yeah, you know,
people might say, "Oh, he's happy because they won the game," but as an outside in, I think Tielemans loves Leicester City. He really does, because at the end of the day, I mean, he's gone to an ambitious club, and Leicester are an ambitious club. And you know, if he wanted a way for Leicester, he would have done it last season. But look, end of the day, I mean, he seems to like it there, and it's a big club. And I know he's got 12 months left on his contract at the end of the season, so that's going to be tough to keep him. I think as long as Brendan Rodgers is still there at the club, I think it'll stay, because at the end of the day, I think for you guys, it might be a blip. But next season, it's got to be a big season. You need to get players going to improve your team. But look, for those pictures, listen, I think the guy looks happy, and I hope he stays, because Leicester fans loves him, and yeah.
I mean,
that's what I see.
Brad, as Scott said there, you know, he has he's played a lot of games, hasn't he? You know, he's not being rested. And you know, I know we sort of say about they should be able to play 2 games a week, but it is tiring. You're taking knocks, and he is playing. You know, he's being asked at the moment to do a role that isn't him. We want to see the Yuri that gets the goal in the cup final, that goes forward, that you know, puts those brilliant passes through. And he's being asked, I think, at the moment to do, not do that job. And I think that's possibly why people are disappointed in him.
Yeah, and what you forget is especially midfielders. And I will say this more about midfielders, because more in today's game, you see a striker's told to hold that high line. We don't really want you trying to get the ball back in our own half. I know Vardy does it, and there is some out there that can run like they're powered by Duracell, but most notably, your high line, you're jogging back, you're not really doing much. But midfield's the workhorse. It's the big cogs in the team. They're the ones that transition from defence to attack. They're the ones that recover the ball. They're the ones that are always trying to get your team on the front foot, playing positive football. And here's the thing that may, again, let's just for a moment pretend that Tielemans has got 3 years on his contract. And there's no transfer talks. There's no talks about him moving away. And then let's think about what happened in the last 3 seasons. He does suffer from burnout. And that might just be natural of him, that he has a slightly lower stamina ability. Because last season, he went missing for 5 or 6 games where he looked knackered all the time. He couldn't seem to run. The season before, he had the same issue. He was playing week in, week out, game in, game out. And then he went off the boil. Not a whisper. But if you take out, it's funny if you don't mention, like Basil Fox, you don't mention the war. Classic clock interruption there. In 40 Towers, if you don't mention his 12 months or more on his contract, it suddenly rings a pattern. You notice there's a pattern with Yuri. I saw it at the Euros. Well, he's obviously going to try for his country as best as he can. But, you know, it's some players, they don't have the greatest of stamina. They're a machine and can pass the ball around and do things on the ball when they're great. And John's trying not to laugh listening to the clock. I can tell he's desperately trying not to. But, you know, we have to appreciate the fact that you do have a midfielder like a Lookman who can run up and down, and he never and Dewsbury Hall run up and down, and they never seem to lose an ounce of energy. You know, Shinji Okazaki is another one where there's an attacker that was like that. But sometimes you've got somebody who he's like calmness. He'll get the ball in a difficult situation, he'll wriggle free, he'll make a pass, and then he'll jog his way forward because he's anticipating maybe losing the ball and he's got to pick up and restart the attack. He's not somebody that we ever can you ever remember seeing regularly Youri Tielemans making a long bursting 30-yard run and then strike one to the top corner? Because I don't. He's normally hanging around that edge of the area waiting. Yeah. And that's what people maybe need to understand of what kind of player Tielemans is. Yeah.
I mean,
sorry to drag that out. I was just trying to get the clock.
I was going to say I was about to time you out, Bum Bum. The other player that I want to talk about, I'll quickly come to John on this one because it's your ex-player here, Mr. Perez. Whenever I say to a Newcastle fan, as I said to you on your show yesterday, I said to Alex on the watch along today, we've still got the receipt, but nobody wants him back. From an outsider's point of view, I mean, it was obviously, I suppose, if anybody was going to be taken off first, it was going to be him. But what did you think of his performance from a Newcastle point of view? First of all,
I thought he set the first goal, didn't he? From a corner, he did that flick, didn't he, to Lookman? Was it him? Was it sort of thing? So I must have missed it. That's the only good thing he's done today. He worked hard. I'll give him that. And but at the end of the day, sort of thing, I just thought he had a quiet game apart from that flick. But would I take him back? Definitely not. I wouldn't take him back. I'm sorry, but you know, But
if you buy, I think, isn't it sort of law, Brad, that if you buy something, you keep the receipt and it's faulty,
that
you want to take it back.
I mean,
and I know he played well on Wednesday, but that was 20 minutes in 3.5 seasons, guys. You know.
No,
that said, Brad. I mean, what a cheeky back heel that was for Lookman.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, talk about training ground routine paying off, because it seems like something Leicester really want to expose some of the corners. We got the goal similar to it in PSV in that area in the box when Maddison was left free to lash it into the net, and it happened again today. Yeah, it took a deflection and whatnot, and somehow wiggled its way in. But you know that's how it goes when you create them spaces and give yourself them opportunity. You know, the odds are more in your favour to find the back of the net. And look, I actually feel sorry for Perez because I think he had a good game. And again, I'll talk about it later on the tactic board, but we deprive that right side. Once we get into an attacking sense with Justin, if he doesn't gallop past the right winger and try and cross the ball in, we switch it to the left, and then Perez is sat there and Maddison sat there going, "Is there any point? Is there any point me playing out here? Because I'm never going to see I see the ball once in a blue moon. I do something with it, and I don't see it again for the rest of the game." And I do feel a bit of grief for him because I felt the effort and the running he did today to try and get him behind Newcastle, especially in that first half, wasn't rewarded with faith of, all right, maybe we'll try more attacks down the right, because that's what he must feel like as a player. That you keep seeing the ball when you're in space and trying to get him behind, and you're waiting for the ball to get played over the top or given to you so you can drive at them, and you're seeing them making 3 passes as they slowly drag it back out to left. If I was Perez in that situation, I'd be going, Gaffer, I know normally when I play, it feels like we've got 10 men, but you're making me feel like I'm not needed. Can I come off, please? Because he didn't see the ball. We never played it down that right side with any attacking and aggression, minus that goal. And I do feel for him. And you know my thoughts on Perez, and I always
Yeah.
got to be honest with them when it comes to it. All joking aside about my Perez problem that I have, I do feel for him today because it's not like he was the reason he underperformed. He didn't actually underperform. He just wasn't given the chance to perform.
Yeah, no, and in fairness, I think it was one of his better, performances. If I'm honest with you, and at the end of the day, he's come off and he has got an assist to his name.
Yeah.
So I mean, talking of Perez, I mean, who could hear us talking about Perez all the way over in America? Brookline. Devil are you? He's Perez's biggest fan. Hello, sir. We played without a striker today. Poor Daka does not know how to make runs or hold up the ball. Oh, I think that's a bit unfair. Do you remember the Moscow game? I mean, I think you've just got to say, and I said this the other day, when you buy a player, especially from abroad, it's a whole new ball game when it comes to this country. They will either fit in straight away, as Fofana did do. It's a sink or swim, throwing the baby in the pool at the deep end. Fofana definitely swam. Sumar is kind of sinking, and he's taking a bit of time to get used to it. And I think Daka is as well. But let's talk that goal from a Newcastle point of view. Were you disappointed to concede that first goal?
I thought Leicester grew into the game, but from my point of view, I thought it was poor defending. I mean, I think you look at the corner of the game, look what ASM is, right? He could have, once that first touch was there, he could have pressed. Yeah, he was all alone and he just stood there. Yeah, and a lot of people are saying you're not allowed to go at ASM. They think it's a star boy. ASM, star boy. Wasn't star boy today, wasn't he? All it was, right? The corner came in, right? And he just stood there when the ball went past him. And then what was the defense doing? They allowed Lookman. He was closing them down. No one didn't close them down at all. And it went through the players and into the back of the net. Dubraka tried to keep it out, but at the end of the day, it went straight in the back of the net. But I have to question the defense. And I think ASM could have done a little bit more by pressing as soon as that corner had been taken. Because I knew he was going to take a short corner. All I was to do, at least just try and press. And he didn't.
I've got to be honest with you. You may have known we were going to take a short corner. I've never seen Leicester do that, and I don't know how long have you, Brad? And it come off as well.
No, and again, it seems like something that Brendan's trying to, and with great success in recent games. Obviously, PSV, and despite the result today, it works against Newcastle. We seem to try and kind of suck teams into that corner of the box to drag the defenders away, to allow that space in the middle of the box, to allow a Maddison or a Lookman to run onto it and hit it in the net. It's clearly something we've worked on. I mean, considering we've probably been one of the worst teams this season. In fact, I would go as far as say we have been the worst team this season from and against set pieces, because we either concede them or we're rubbish from them in terms of attacking them. But no, it was not something I saw until literally that split second, and the run just started. And the only reason I think he wasn't pressed so much is when you make a run so quick in that motion that Perez did, and the angle that he's running at, if the defender or a midfielder tries to get in front of him and nick his foot in front of him, he gets it wrong, Perez goes down. It's a penalty.
Yeah.
And I if Perez gets a nudge there and he feels something, he's like, go down, it's a penalty. And it's the same in the other box. I'm not disputing that. If Newcastle did that, and that happens. And sometimes I think that indecisive, that split second of a player deciding, do I and potentially give away a penalty, or do I try and sort it out wherever the flick goes? And it costs.
But it was a nice touch from Perez, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and he's obviously it's obviously something that he's got a few players working on, because we've seen that Justin and Ricardo like to drive that byline and cut in, don't they? So it's obviously something that Leicester have been trying to do and have got success over the years probably doing it. And we're just seeing it more in a flux recently because they don't seem to want to attack the same way down the right as they do down the left.
And of course, we went 1-0 up, and of course, in typical Leicester form, this happens. 1-1. Did you? I mean, I don't know what the what VAR was looking at. I mean, from your point of view, John, I mean, it was a fair goal, wasn't it?
You know what it is? I watched it back time and time again for that far, and I couldn't see any reason why and the goal shouldn't be disallowed. But listen, it was a goal. I mean, he went for it. I mean, he didn't take out Casper, did he? He just went for the ball, kept his eyes on the ball. He got the ball first into the back of the net. It's as simple as that, yeah? But had that happened to us, right, all the Newcastle fans would have gone on meltdown, yeah? They would have gone on meltdown. As long as you get the ball first, then the player, that is cool, yeah? Clay got the ball. He just got the ball first. Casper also looking, and when he went to gather sort of thing, hey-ho, in the back of the net, happy days. So it's definitely a goal. I was telling me watch along, you can't disallow that because it was a perfectly legitimate goal. And I'm not being biased, but I'm just calling it how it is. And it was definitely a goal.
No. I mean, I watched that, and when I look back on the VAR, Brad, it was sort of seemed to be checking two things. I think somebody was sort of climbing up on a Marte, which I don't think he was, and then they were looking at that Schmeichel going down. I mean, Schmeichel's fault that? Schmeichel at fault for that, Brad? Or should he have collected it? Or, I mean, if it had gone the other, there had been a goal for Leicester, I would have been saying, what the hell was VAR looking at?
The problem is, all right, and I don't know if you saw this, it might have not happened on your stream, but there was like a third VAR check, and that came back positive. And it's positive that the refs are incompetent because VAR is supposed to be used for clear and obvious. And I had a meltdown. Like John said, if it was Newcastle fans, I had a meltdown because the replay I showed, it looked like Bruno had kicked Casper at the first attempt and then cleanly got the ball the second attempt. That wasn't the case. I'm glad it was used right for a change, but the incompetence that it took 7 replays and then they told him to go and look at the screen to correct his decision just made it worse. That's probably what set me off on a meltdown, thinking, how they've done this. Of course, they've get the goal now because it's clearly a foul, but they can't be asked to make, blah, 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 reeling it off. But in the end, my only Casper's at fault is very weak. My only concern, my only thing is I will bring it back to is if that's a goal, which it is rightly, and it's not a clear and obvious, and it's been given in the end through a clear and obvious mistake by the referee. What was clear and obvious is about in the app show at Old Trafford to get that looked at so many times and checked. Should it just have been a case of, well, that's football for you, and you could bemoan getting a bad decision, we bemoan getting a good decision in one game or whatever. But at the end of the day, fair's fair. I saw another angle of it eventually, the same angle I kept seeing.
Had the referee not given it then? Had he? Because I hadn't thought he made a decision. I just thought, well, it's a goal.
No,
VAR were just looking at it because it's a goal.
No, he gave a foul. He gave a foul. Right. We thought he'd kicked out at Casper first, but finally, when they figured out which angle was best to show the referee, you could actually see that he does get the ball first. It is contact with Casper, but I'm a goalkeeper, and I will tell you that's a fair goal.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was surprised, and fair dues to the referee because normally they don't. They go with don't change the mind. So fair dues to him.
My only gripe though was I actually did think it was a foul on Amati. I don't see why he's clattering into Amati. He's got no reason to clatter into Amati's static. Amati's watching the ball because he's got no way of winning the ball. Why is the Newcastle player charging into him? That one I have a little bit of gripe with. But in terms of the actual goal itself, Bruno does nothing wrong. He should stand on that basis. But I have a gripe when he's flying into Amati. I don't see why that's not a foul because he's.
All I will say is, I think if it was at the other end, we would have been screaming for the goal, and I think that's how I do it. If I'm screaming for the goal, then I kind of presume it must be a goal. And I appreciate you only coming on for 5, John, and you've been with us for quite a while. But so I'll let you go. But I just want to ask before you go, the last minute goal. A bit of luck involved because I think it took a deflection onto Bruno and then made it easier for Bruno, but he took it well. And I mean, do you, if that was Newcastle, do you go mad because your team's been caught at the back because they were still trying to go for the winner themselves, or do you go mad because, like I say, you weren't defensive? I mean, you can't win with that one as a manager, can you?
Not really, no. I mean, Leicester tried for the win, and we broke away from Willock, made great run from Willock, put the ball in, took a deflected cross, and then it fell to Bruno. That ball could have gone anywhere, and thankfully it went to him and into the back of the net. But you're right. I mean, I'm out of teams that goes for a win, right? That means you're having a goal. But if you get caught late on, then you get caught and you let a goal in, then, well, what can I say? But if you're winning, if my team was winning, right, with the 95th minute, going for the second goal, we get caught, and then you came at us and you score from it, you got to blame. Who do you blame? We had a goal. We was trying to get a second goal. We tried. But people are going to say, hang on a minute, you should have put it to the corner, take it to the corner and wasting a couple of seconds as well, people. But at the end of the day, I mean, luck for once came our way. And what a way to win it. Like, what a way to win. Did we deserve to win it today? I don't think none of us deserve to win. But at the end of the day, we got 3 points. We won it because we had a goal. And it was a lucky 3 points. But we worked hard for it. We worked hard for the 3 points, yeah?
You earn your own luck, mate, in football. You earn your own luck.
Exactly. If it went other way around, and Leicester scored for the 90th minute, for me personally, out of the two teams, I think Leicester would have deserved to win because I think you have more of the ball and you were better with the ball as well. And our passing the day wasn't great. I can't lie. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And luck is on our side for a change. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. And, like I say, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on staying up, which, I think you're guaranteed to now. And we look forward to playing you next season. So before you go, just give a shout out where everybody can find you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for having us on, guys. But I really appreciate that. And I love your channel. I think your channel is fantastic. And both guys speaks a lot of sense. On Twitter, it's John Sinclair or John_NSC42 on Twitter. You can also watch us live as well on YouTube, John Sinclair TV. Also, John Sinclair TV on my Facebook and on Insta, John Sinclair 50 on Twitch. The same. What can I say? John Sinclair TV again. And I'm trying to work on TikTok as well, which is the same, John Sinclair.
And your name is?
Alan Shearer.
Mate, thanks very much for coming on. Like I say, it does hurt, but congratulations on the win. And like I say, you're up and we'll see you next season. Well done, mate.
Congratulations to you guys and good luck for the rest of the season.
Brilliant. Cheers. Thanks very much. All the best, mate.
Take care. All the best to you guys. Thanks, Anders.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
That second goal, Brad. I know.
Clear him out. Yori just clears him out. Game over. Sorry, I'm still fuming.
No, you sometimes have to. I mean, I'm just looking then. I missed the Amati booking in the first minute because I was still setting up. And Mendy got booked in the 96th minute.
I mean, I don't know what Mendy got booked for. I didn't see it. Maybe just for that. I mean, actually, you mentioned Mendy. It was his fault that Marty got booked. He really did sell him short on a back pass. He was stretching for it. He didn't get anywhere near enough, and then Marty made a smart foul. Now, going back to that, Marty got a yellow card. When you could maybe argue last man he's potentially for a goal, there wasn't any malice in it. There wasn't. It was one of them clever gamesmanship fouls. Now I don't understand. I can't understand why Yori didn't do the same.
Yeah.
Because I'm with you and John on that one. Yes, your team wants to go and win the game. But if you lose the ball in that situation, take him out. Take him out. Because deflection or not, bit of luck or not, we were outnumbered, we were stretched. They had the press from midfield. It's how they got the goal. Take him out doesn't happen. We come away with a point. We're no worse off than what we were before we started the game. We're happy. We continue the momentum. We have the positive result to go with it. It's not the 3 points we wanted, but it's the point that probably both teams did deserve at the very least.
Yeah.
And again, just like we didn't do it against Spurs. I'm having flashbacks now. I might need to Post something
Right.
about
All right, that was giving me flashbacks of the Watford playoff semi-finals.
Yeah, but again, it just seems a little bit less the way that we were so eager to try and get that ball back and control it on our terms that in the end we made their goal for them.
Yeah.
And
sometimes you have to. I mean, they say, don't they, take one for the team? And
yeah.
I think Tielemans could have done that. All right, so he gets sent off. He misses Everton. Wow. Or he probably gets a booking. I don't know, but
again, if he does it straight away, he probably does get a booking. If the second he knows he's losing that battle, he just takes him out to the side. The referee might go, "It's the end of the game. I can't bother. Have a yellow."
Yeah. And we're still watching for Europe, but maybe he's just too nice. Luca Rogers in. He's always been Rogers in. Rogers has got us a top half finish. By the look of it, we're in the semi-finals of a European competition. When was that last time that happened for Arsenal?
I can't think.
No. I mean, that silence says it all, doesn't it? Really,
They do say silence is golden, don't they?
Yeah. How was your weekend, Luca? In fact, how was your last week? Was it 3 they've lost? 3 on the trot?
That is 3 on the trot. I saw Anthony comment at the end of your watch along.
Come on, Brighton. Come on.
Yeah.
But obviously I let John go because he was only going to come on for 5 minutes. I know these aren't sort of, you're not overly fussed at all with the stats, but I mean 70% to us. I mean our passes, and this is what gets me really, Brad. And I'd love to see your thoughts on this. 166 accurate passes for Newcastle, 485 accurate passes for Leicester, but we never did anything with it. We were literally like passing. It was like we were playing in the schoolyard. We were passing across the back and what have you. Yes, we get all these passes, but where was the decisive through ball at the end of it?
Well, again, I'll probably have some form of a weird answer for you, I guess, or some form of weird explanation for you in the tactic section because it's at the end of it. But I think you've got to give credit to Newcastle first of all. We moan that when we win a game, that especially when it's against top opposition, the pundits would rather say how good they were and no, how bad they were, and not always talk about how good we were. But at the end of the day, we also have to remember pundits are analysts. It's their job to analyse the game from both sides.
Yeah.
And I just feel that Newcastle played today, and I mean this with the greatest respect, because I'm sure once they come down from their high today of the win, I'm sure they'll gladly admit that their team is. I mean, John Joe Shelvey is a fraud of a footballer, and I reckon about 80% of their squad is the reason they were doing so poorly, and B, probably championship quality at best. With the greatest respect, John Joe Shelvey, I wouldn't pick him if I had 10 men for a Sunday League side and ask him to run the line because I don't rate him. And that's how little I rate John Joe Shelvey as a footballer.
He's captain. Apparently, Eddie Howe thinks he's wonderful.
Oh, my brain. That sentence disturbed my brain.
I'm saying that's not me saying that is coming from a Newcastle fan and the watch along.
No, John Joe Shelvey is an absolute fraud of footballer. I don't understand everybody. I don't understand how he's played in the Premiership at all, let alone for how long. But anyway, most of their squad, they'd have to admit, is Championship standard. They've obviously brought in some decent caliber of players. So I'm not saying they haven't got some caliber of players, and they've probably got a few youngsters there that have the potential to break into the team and become an established Premier League player, but they're not Premiership quality. And they came here today, continuing their mission, which is get as many points as we can, as quick as we can, and guarantee our safety. They put a left man behind the ball, right? And I said this on a post or on a reply to a tweet or whatever. And I said, Leicester fans, to a degree rightly, moaned at the start of the season that we were trying this new tactic and this new formation, and it wasn't working. And Brendan swallowed his pride, put it on the back burner, and went back to plan A. Well, guess what? today we missed a plan B, because when Newcastle were resolute and defending deep, I mean, for literally until they scored that goal, they were in their own half for that second half. They didn't need to come out of it. They kind of reminded them of ourselves in that season in the Premier League, you know, when we were having 30% possession, but then bursting out the blocks and catching team pressing a high line. They kind of tried that without the quality. And you could argue that team was Championship standard for the majority of it. It's not a discredit. It's, you know, it's just making a comparison. But I just don't think, I think we needed a plan B today. And putting Maddison on for Perez, we didn't change the shape. He didn't change anything as the desired effect was.
I thought like, if you're going to make a substitution, and Brendan does this quite a lot, doesn't he? He changes, and if a player is playing really badly, or if a player is getting roasted by, you know, like a defender's being roasted by the winger or something like that, I get it. But sometimes Roger he makes these changes, and it's just like for like. And there's nothing tactical in there to sort of then suddenly say to Newcastle, we're going to do it this way now. Work this one out.
And that's something that maybe, again, hindsight's a wonderful thing, but maybe this, you know, pre-season, next season, we'll have a fully fit squad. Players will return from injury. Anybody that's going to go will be out the door early. I won't say his name because I feel like they're just going to use it as an excuse every time his name's mentioned. But if certain players from that first team are gone, and we've got we've got the likes of Daka and Samora get a full pre-season with the squad, and we can work on it over that 2-month period or 8-week period or whatever it is. During the pre-season, we'll have that ability to work on a plan B more, and then we'll be able to change it up, because like you said, it was like for like, which was understandable. I mean, had we not got Europe, had we not got a game even probably on a Wednesday, I think Limpman plays the full 90 minutes. I think he was brilliant again. My favourite player. Don't know if I tweeted it enough or I tweet it enough, but my favourite player.
Who is? Remind me, I didn't see that.
But I again, don't play Wednesday. He probably plays the full 90 minutes. And then we maybe don't lose that shape. The thing is, two of the subs were more understandable being like for like. Rest Daka, I don't think he actually had a bad game. He needs to eat his Weetabix and get up to the strength of the English game, sure, but he knew that when he got here, and he was told that anyway. He's also trying to not just do that, but he's learning to come deep and collectible, which is something he probably wasn't asked to do at Leipzig, and you know, isn't expected to do against, let's face it, Moscow, Newcastle. I know Newcastle have been bad this season, but they're a lot higher quality than Moscow. But Maddison isn't a winger. You take off the winger, where's the shape? And that's the thing that gets me, Chris. It wasn't like for all three subs. It wasn't like he put Albrighton on for Perez. He put Maddison on, and I was half expecting a shift in how we would go about it. Maybe go Barnes with Iheanacho, maybe play two up front in a makeshift two up front in a weird sense, and change the shape a bit. That's the one thing that baffled me a bit. It wasn't like Maddison came on and, like you said, we went, I know what we're doing here. We're going Yori, Maddison, and that's how we're going to, brilliant. We're going to try and go through the middle. We didn't change anything about the way we did things. We just changed the personnel, and I think that's something that needs to be worked on. And maybe it's easier to work on when we've got a fully fit squad and a long time to work on it, next season.
I mean, David said there, basically he's agreeing with us. He first of all said, I think, our passes were aimless because we're just keeping the ball. Yes, agree. And the problem is that Brendan can simply say the team had to. The team had to recycle and rest players. I get that. And Scott agrees with you, Brad, taking Perez off for Maddison. And hi to Retro. How the devil are you, sir? Very happy at the moment, I am sure. The problem is I find it hard, and I you know me, right? I'm honest, and I say I've never wanted Brendan out. I've always been a Brendan in. You know, I think it's stupid to get rid of him, and it's brainless and the wrong idea, blah blah blah, and all that. But I will criticise him, and as you know, I've criticised him with his substitutions, as in Vestergaard versus West Ham. But we gave him praise on Thursday, because he got the substitutions right. He you know, Alan gave him 10, and he's a very hard to be pleased. So I feel a bit like I want to cut him some slack, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. And I think maybe he does deserve a little bit of slack. Again, he's gone six months without a fully able team to initiate this rotation period. Because any club in Europe, no matter how many years they've been doing it for, have a 20. We all have, you know how they say, like, doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, when you die, you're buried the same as anyone else, right? Don't they? You know, well, it's the same when it comes to handling a lot of competitions throughout the season. You're only allotted the same amount of squad players you're allowed to register. And Leicester have been one of them clubs, unfortunately, that haven't been afforded to have them available week in, week out. You know, a couple of points that were made by fans were, and I think on Leicester Radio, was Leicester in previous European nights and then playing a league game had probably been forced to play a league game, a European game, and then a league game with minimal changes. And then changes for probably 9 times out of 10 injuries that were enforced changes more than an allowance to refresh like we have been done over recent weeks. So yeah, I'm going to be a bit lenient on Brendan. I'm going to be a bit lenient on the players today in terms of not being too critical of it all going a bit Pete-tonged. But it's something that obviously, you know, fans need to maybe think about as well. What Brendan said, I know sometimes it's kind of frowned upon when a manager does this, but I think we do. I think Brendan needs to remind us fans what he's done since he's got here. He's taken us to a League Cup semi-final. He took us to an FA. He got us into an FA Cup final. He's won us the FA Cup. He's won us the Community Shield. So
English Super Cup.
Yeah, English Super Cup. Yeah, you know, he's got us to the semi-final. Leicester have never been to the semi-final in any European front.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree. I agree. And, you know, hindsight's a wonderful thing. And, of course, we sit here now and go, you know, we'll now see why he was making the changes every game he did, because he had to fit the formation around the players he's got available. But I've got a big question for you, Brad, and I'm going to ask it you straight after this. Two things, guys. Please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And if you're a Newcastle fan watching in, we do a lot of non-Leicester City stuff as well, predictions and premonitions. And if you fancy having a bit of How the Devil Are You or something like that, here's where. So the question is, Brad, last week, if I said to you last Saturday, over the next 3 games, which are obviously Palace, Eindhoven and Newcastle, out of those 3 games, you'd get 3 points and the win that would take you into the semi-finals of the European Cup, but you'd lose against Newcastle. Would you have bit my hand off for that?
Yeah, honestly, I would have, for obvious reasons. A, Leicester achieved the feat of getting to a European semi-final, and B, we go into that game with momentum. I'd much rather, knowing what I know now, have the result we've got. Because if you said to me, lose to Palace or lose to Newcastle, and leave the question mark with the Iron result, I would say beat Crystal Palace every time, because I believe in momentum. And yeah, people will say, well, now you got Everton.
You don't like Crystal Palace, as I've seen on a few of your tweets.
Yeah,
and it's not nothing to do with your current love situation. You just don't like them, do you?
No, I don't. And again, I know it might sound childish, but you have to remember, I was a child at the time. But I remember, I was under that illusionary concept that, you know, Everton, Liverpool, Man United, Manchester, you know, Arsenal, Chelsea, Leicester, because obviously I know my team was supporting. They sounded like Premiership sides, and then there was Barnsley and Wimbledon and Crystal Palace, and they just looked scruffy, I guess. The kit didn't look Premiership quality, and I can see the 6-year-old snob in me was coming out when I was replying to him, but they just didn't feel or look like a Premiership team. They didn't feel they deserved to be in the Premiership. I just didn't like them. They played scruffy, irritated football, and then they just wound me up. And guess what? Newcastle can have that list now. No, I'm joking.
Well, talking of Crystal Palace, you'll certainly have a very nice evening with your lady this evening, because Chelsea are beating them 2-0.
Oh, they're beating them or beating them?
Yes, they're beating them. It's over.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. At least one of us is happy this weekend then.
You get 3 points again. Who did Brighton? What they've won, didn't they?
Tottenham. In fact,
So they beat Tottenham, who we hate.
In fact, Newcastle must have watched that game, because they did to us in the second half what Brighton did to Tottenham in 90 minutes. If not a shot on target. So
exactly, and you know, and then Crystal Palace, their dreaded enemies, go and lose in the semi-final. Which, to be honest with you guys, I'd sooner us lose here against Newcastle than have lost in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Be so near. As Scott says there, please do like and subscribe. Cheers, Scott. And another FA Cup final for Chelsea to lose. I just can't see Liverpool, you know. I don't know whether Liverpool,
I don't care who wins that now. I'm just glad it's not going to be Crystal Palace. So
I wanted Crystal Palace. I'm sorry, Chloe, if you watch.
I nearly quit the show. I nearly announced that I was nearly going to end with P45. Then I realised you don't pay me, so I stayed.
exactly. That you see, that's why if I pay you, you've got rights. That's the thing.
I know, right? Who wants rights these days?
I only wanted Palace because they were the underdogs, and I, unlike you, I understand. You know, we all hate different clubs for different reasons. You know, and I wouldn't have minded Palace as the underdogs going on and winning it. If it had been Forest, obviously I'd have wanted Chelsea to smash them. So there we go. But anyway,
I'll be open for a cricket score.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, right. So it's that time, Bradley. We look at the old tactic board, and I tell you what, I'd forgotten I'd got this, so let's bring it back. At least you're doing one this time. The other week you didn't want to do one.
No, I couldn't really do one on that one. It was a bit of a drab one. That was a PSV one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now this is looking very technical, so I shall let you get on with it and talk us through the game, Mr. Shearer.
Right. Well, hey now, I'm going to cut to you. Right. Well, I did this through as an analysis point today, and this is my first time doing it with a pad and paper since the board arrived, so bear with me, because the board, I haven't got anywhere to fix the board. So here we go. First half analysis, match today, coming across the screens. The first half analysis, which is poorly written for me, so I will translate it for you. It's the wing backs and centre backs in the attack. So how did Leicester go about attacking the thing today? Well, when they actually got it right, and mainly in the first half, as you can see, Kagar Soyuncu is the furthest back. I know it's in reverse for you, but I can't draw for that. So it might look like he's further forward, but he's not. We always had, and it was mainly Kagar Soyuncu, the furthest back centre-back in defender. And he would sit very much at the edge of the box, and he would spray the ball out to either Justin or Luke Thomas, or if we were able to get it forward, he'd go with Amati. It's something we're more familiar with seeing with Evans and Fofana, isn't it? We're normally seeing Fofana making long bursting runs forward and Evans covering the gap. And what happened was that allowed that, depending on which side the press was, so if it was on the left, you see here that Luke Thomas is more advanced on my board. It would allow Justin to then slowly go forward. Cags and Justin would hold that line on the press. And then what that would mean is if we got caught out and gave the ball away being a bit indecisive, we had the cover and was allowed to recover the ball. So what did we do in defence? Well, in defence, we were a bit more rigid. As you can see, Kagla, Sunchu and Amati are in line with each other's, and the wingers pushed up in tandem, keeping that what I'd call a U-shaped defence. So, you know, the midfielders can recover the ball because they know they've got the safety of Amati and Cags holding the defensive line in front of the box, and Justin and Luke could read and were intercepting any dangers shown by Newcastle. So that allowed Mendy and Dewsbury Hall and whoever to recover the ball in midfield and hold firm. So St. Maximin, Almiron, and whoever couldn't expose our back line today, which was vital for the majority of the game. It didn't really actually affect either goal because neither goal came from a direct run in terms of having a concentrated back line. So then what did Leicester do? Well, the midfield in defence is the next category we have on. And in defence, we actually kept this rigid formation. Mendy was that central defensive role. He was the man that was sitting in front of Kagla, Sunchu and Daniel Amati. And what you see there, your eyes aren't deceiving you. Adamona Luckman would drop in to make it a three-man midfield. And what that would stop Newcastle do was prevent them exposing a side, because Yori would cover the side on the right, and Kieran Dewsbury Hall, the man, the machine, the myth, the legend, was controlling that midfield area to not allow them to drive. So it restricted Newcastle to making quick breakaways, and we noticed that for most of the game. And it would alternate and switch if Lukeman was out of position, because Iosi Perez would fill that gap and Yori would circle round to fill up on that side of things. And it's something that I've noticed that Brendan does a lot. You know, whether it's Barnes, whether it's Perez, whether it's Madison or Lukeman, the wide players have that responsibility of, depending on what side the opposition choose to attack, depends on which one of them drops back into that midfield to allow Leicester to regain that defensive shape, to allow maybe Amati or Kagla or to get back into defensive role if they've been caught pushing forward. And with that of Mendy, you have that reassurance of knowing you've got somebody who can keep dropping back until Leicester got that defensive shape. And then the one thing that Leicester did really well today was the midfield and the attack in a counter. And this is how Leicester really tried to go about attacking oppositions today. Mendy, obviously, that defensive line was probably the deepest player we had, pushed it forward to halfway line, and he had the easy options of Kieran Dewsbury Hall and Yuri Tielemans just in front of him to turn defence into attack. And when that happened, you had Daka, who, as has been explained by Brendan, is being taught to do that Vardy-esque role and the Iheanacho role and come deep. And what that allowed the likes of Lukeman and from the majority of the game Perez to do was hold that higher line so that Newcastle couldn't flood this midfield area. This area here was where Leicester had a lot of joy in holding on to the ball and passing it. This little triangle area here between Dewsbury Hall, Daka and Yori was really where Leicester won the game of possession and passing, because Perez and Lukeman held that high line to a great standard that they did. It meant that they couldn't really push that defensive line up any further for the risk of Yori or Dewsbury Hall playing a ball in behind them and Perez and Lukeman latching onto it. So that was the difference in effectiveness. If you can see that now, you see how far forward and how high the press is compared to our defensive line that I'll just quickly flip back to. Very rigid, very, very controlled, very, very patient, shall I say, compared to the getting behind, mess with their heads, let's move the ball quick, attacking sense. And then we get on to another segment, training ground that pays off. Now, this is very difficult for me to do, and I'll zoom in a little bit for you. The goal. As you can see there, you've got Perez in the middle. It's very craply drawn goal. Don't profess to be an artist, but Perez started his run from the edge of the 6-yard box, and Lootman was waiting at the edge of the area. And what happened was, for the move to the goal, if I can draw this whilst looking at it upside down, I'll be impressed, is Perez was given that instruction to run to the near post, and Lootman was told to lurch in and around that edge of the area to inside the edge of the box. And that's how the goal came along. And it was not too dissimilar to PSV. Obviously, Perez was driving at that 6-yard to byline area for that occasion. But from this corner, he was told to make that run to escape his man, to get in front, and then he paid the most sublime flick I have ever seen from a player, let alone Iosi Perez, that put that ball into that killer danger area, which you normally see the ball go to in the air for a defender or a tall midfielder to attack. And that gave Lootman the opportunity to just drill the ball home, get his head over the ball and hit it hard and low like he did, and deservedly at that point gave Leicester the lead. So then, hold on, go to the page. So then what happened in the second half? Well, the second half, Leicester didn't really change actually all too much. In fact, defending without the ball is what we actually got to see in the second half, because Leicester, when they didn't have the ball, Newcastle didn't really press. But when Newcastle pressed, it's something that you may have noticed, that Leicester seemed to approach that deep defensive line in an attempt to spring the trap. And they tried to drag Newcastle out in that second half to go about business a bit differently. Because as you can see here, actually technically the furthest forward players we had, in that defensive outline was probably our quickest outlet, minus Lootman and Daka, was JJ and Luke Thomas, and that allowed for a spring trap to be activated should we win the ball in and around at the edge of our own box. Daniel Amati and Soyuncu take up the role of sitting deeper into the box, so it makes a crowded area. It maybe puts off and prevents anybody picking up the ball from here and having a long-range shot, because they were met by Papis Mendy or Yuri Tielemans. And as you can see there, Papis Mendy, you might not be able to tell with my crappy artwork, but he sat just a little bit deeper, because Yuri Tielemans, being the playmaker that he's naturally supposed to be, was there to pounce on a loose ball, any indecisiveness by Newcastle, and then he would be part of the attack that would catch up with Lootman and Daka or Iheanacho, and he'd be a part of a 3-man press with JJ and Luke Thomas. It's something that I actually like that Leicester developed, because normally we just have they wouldn't exist, and these two would be our defenders. They would be Evans or Fofana or Amati and Soyuncu. And given that extra bit of cover and making that our midfield might sound defensive and might sound like it's not very creative going forward, and Leicester were panicky. But like I said, what it actually allows for is no clear shot at goal, and it allows especially for an easy layoff, and it allows the likes of Yuri Tielemans and JJ and Luke Thomas to instantly press that ball out into attack and get Leicester up the pitch immediately and catch up to their front men to put Newcastle under pressure and catch them out. And that's how Leicester defended today without the ball. But attacking, what have I put here? The triangle of terror. Yeah, very catchy. I know I come up with great tactical and noose names. And this was, for the majority of the half until he came off, was brought to you by Luke Thomas, Dewsbury Hall and Adamona Luckman. And that was when Leicester won the ball through that midfield press of Mendy and Yuri Tielemans and Dewsbury Hall, who would hold the higher of that press, but he was still pressing the midfield of Newcastle. If they won it in the attacking third, they then had the ability to pull Newcastle apart. It could go to Thomas, who, if he was closed down, could drag him out, drag the player, and then give the ball to Dewsbury Hall, or he could knock it down the line and take that midfielder out of the game, and then they could press. They knocked it around this triangle between the three of them, absolutely lovely. Whether it was to push inside and then Luckman would cut in, or whether it was to go inside, drag two Newcastle players into the zone, and then getting behind them quicker by giving the ball out wide to Lootman. it just works so well. A little bit predictable in the sense that Leicester always, majority of the time, go down the left and use this tactic, and it's not a tactic they use on the right. I talked about it, saying that Justin was more run diagonally, byline, pull it back, which is fine to have two different tactics, two sides. I do like that. But this triangle of terror works in an attacking sense, and it works in the reverse if we was trying to play a bit deeper and catch it. And you may see here that the triangle inverts on itself. You know, Luke Thomas becomes that options where it's played to him. He then maybe feeds the ball to Lukeman. Lukeman can hold the ball up while Dewsbury Hall gets further up the pitch, or he can play a nice outside the football pass to an advancing Luke Thomas to get down the left. And that was where Leicester did try and mix up that sort of predictable triangle of terror on the left-hand side. And that's two ways that Leicester do go about it. It's something that I'd like to see more Harvey Barnes do, because when Harvey Barnes came on, they lost that a little bit. The communication wasn't there. So seeing Leicester do things in a lot of creative ways in a game that people maybe didn't notice was very pleasing to see. So the summary. Well, as any manager probably does, they take a tactical note of what's good and what's bad. And for you guys, I've done it in red and green. And as you can see, they look pretty even in the points. But what Leicester got right was they high pressed well, especially in that first half. They kept the shape well and was able to regroup the shape well. They actually pressed the counter very well. You know, we're talking about that Papis Mendy, Yuri Tielemans press out from the middle with Thomas and Justin. That's the counter press that they did really well today. What else? They kind of forced Newcastle back a bit as well. Newcastle really, anytime they tried to go forward, suddenly realised they only had St. Maximin to aim the ball at, and everybody was 20 yards inside their own half for the majority of the game. So they pushed Newcastle back and kind of played on the fact that Newcastle were trying to see out the game and hopefully nick the win, which unfortunately they were able to do in the end. And one thing they did do, when they were a bit indecisive or got the pass wrong, was their recovery to get the ball back. Whether there was moans that Tielemans lost the ball, it was him winning the ball back. If it was Dewsbury Hall, he won the ball back. If it was Lukeman, if it was Papis Mendy, they were always seen trying to work together to recover the ball back. And not just the person who lost it, but the player either side of them would drop back and cover it. Can't hear you, mate. I don't know what's going on. I honestly don't know what's going on. Oh, it was your end. Says it all, Anne. The only negatives I'll take from it, someone mentioned about Daka not looking really like a striker. It's the indecisiveness that we have in that final third. Sometimes I feel that players don't know whether to pass the ball off, make that extra pass, or spread it out wide, or take the chance themselves. And if we can just work that out between the three of them, and I'm talking Perez, Daka, and Barnes or Lukeman, whoever it is that's playing in the game, I think we'll become more clinical in that final third. Again, something I stressed for the most of the season, we are too one-sided. I know we have a different approach to the right, but we are too one-sided and a bit predictable. And in the end, what really cost us, we had 400,000 million touches, but we struggled to break down Newcastle. It was a very defensive Newcastle, and they are probably where Leicester have dropped the most points this season, when we played a side that has stuck 8, 9, 10, 11 men behind the ball, and we don't have the impetus to break them down. If we can eradicate that for next season, with or without European football, I think we're actually into the future. We're looking at having a very successful season next season. And that, Chris, is basically what I managed to take from everything from today's game and the way Leicester tactically are actually on the right track, despite the outcome of today's result.
Leicester Till I Die TV, your first choice for everything Leicester City. Tune in and join in now.
Indeed, and I think Anthony is sorting his end out as we speak.
Well, he can sort his end out away from the stream. This is a PG show, Anthony. We don't need to know about sorting your end out.
I'm saying nothing because he always says I pick on him. So I'm actually saying nothing on this one. Oh, hang on. Let's see what. Oh, Scott. Well done, Brad. You can catch your breath now.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, very good, very flip chartish. I was impressed, I've got to say. We'll end with this one then, Brad, because if I can just find it, man of the match and player ratings. That's a bit of a change from the 10 and 10 that we got midweek against Eindhoven. Alan, who does our match ratings, he's at the match, he's seeing it live, and he's giving the ratings straight away after the end of the match. 4 for the manager, 5 for the team, and he's given Kieran Dewsbury Hall the man of the match. Thoughts on that, Brad?
You might as well just copy and paste man of the match from going forward to the end of the season, Chris, because the lad's always doing it, and I am dead impressed with him. I was looking towards giving it Luke Millen until he was taken off. Obviously, Dewsbury Hall played the 90, so I can't argue with his man of the match. And to be fair, we lost the game. It was poor player management. It was not the easiest one for the manager. If I'm going to be nice and say give it even, give them both 5, but I'm not going to argue with him because I understand how painful it must be when you just see your team concede a 96-minute goal and you've got somebody messaging you saying, "How did you do, mate? Can you give me a rating?" I'd be going, "Zeros, they're all knobbers." I couldn't do what Alan does and maybe give it a calmer response than what he did.
No.
4 and 5. So yeah, fair assessment, folks. At the end of the day, we did lose the game. No matter how.
And in fairness, he sees it a lot different to us because he's seeing off the ball that we're not seeing. We're saying, he may be seeing people sort of making a run that we're not seeing. So, the fact that he's there, it probably does give him a better insight. Ant's gone for Luckman, as indeed they do here on the screen.
I mean, he was phenomenal. And like I said, if it wasn't for the game on Wednesday, I don't think he comes off. I think he would have taken man of the match because he was phenomenal. Signing Brendan. Brendan, if you're watching, you're clearly copying my tactics book, so I know you're watching. Signing Brendan. Sorry.
What can I say? I agree. I agree. Man of the match, Soyuncu for Bookline and Perez. There's a surprise. Soyuncu's long passing has been excellent. We have got the old Soyuncu back, I feel. He's coming to it. And I'm so glad because I was out in Poole the other day with my mate and we went for a sort of lunch. And this guy comes up and starts talking to me about Soyuncu. He's Turkish. I couldn't get rid of him, bless him. But we did have a nice long conversation about Soyuncu. But I mean, Dewsbury Hall there only got a sort of 6.2, but Brendan said, Brendan says
higher near the end of that game, putting the effort in.
Yeah, I mean, some of those I think are particularly low, but there we go. Brendan should have had a 6. Don't think he did too much wrong. And team 6 and just do man of the match for me. Let's face it. As Brad said earlier, if Tielemans takes whoever the Newcastle player was out, we're looking at 1-1 and we're looking at a completely different outlook on the match.
We're probably seeing 5 and 6s and stuff like that instead of talking about.
Yeah. You're looking at, a point and, we're no worse off than when we came in. We've still got those game in hands. It is making Europe in the league, as I said earlier, that little bit harder to attain. But then again, maybe I was, in fantasy land thinking we could still do it. We've got Roma coming up, and at the end of the day, Brendan, I know Neil from Beyond the 90s, and I asked him this straight. I said, look, you were very much, and it'd be interesting to see what Ant has to say, because Ant was very much as well, both of them, Brendan out. And in fairness, he held his hands up, did Neil, and say, I'm 180 degrees changed my mind now.
He
Brendan
did. He
did. He took it on the chin, didn't he? If we finish, let's say we finish 9th or 10th, right, which is probably looking about where we're going to finish, a European Cup semi-final, if we don't get to the final, that has not been a bad season. And yes, I know we dropped down from the Europa to the conference, but I tell you what, there's 14 other there's actually 16 other teams in the Premier League that wish they were in our position, because you've got us and West Ham, Man City and Liverpool all in the semi-finals. You know, and
the clock agrees as well, Chris.
the clock agrees. That shows how long we've been gassing. But yeah, so there's 16 of the teams that must be sat there thinking, God, I wish we were Leicester. You know,
yeah, definitely. And again, Chris, it might sound, I don't want to sound like an Arsenal fan saying this. Once my clock's finished having its opinion, just give me about 10 seconds, mate. There we go. I don't want to sound like an Arsenal fan saying this, because I know they said this last season. We did go on, we've spoke to a few Arsenal fans and been on a few of their podcasts and said this about the start of the season. A fresh squad, an uninjured squad, not playing Villarreal in the friendly, might assist that as well. A chance to regroup, a couple of new additions, you know, to strengthen that midfield. Because I put out there, I'm pretty certain that Brendan's going to want to bulk that attacking-minded midfield. He's going to want to get a potentially Yuri replacement and maybe one or two more names in. Fresh squad, no European football. Obviously, I want us to beat Roma and I want us to go on and win the thing.
Yeah.
But let's say worst-case scenario, we go and get ninth and we don't. We miss out. We've achieved so much in a short space of time over the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Yes.
Maybe a fully fresh squad and no European football is exactly what we need to go and get, you know, that dream that we kind of were hanging on to for 2 seasons, but we didn't quite get into Champions League. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need a squad to stick together and be injury free. And
look at Arsenal. No, you know they've not had European football this season. Spurs got kicked out of Europe. And they're both doing better than they were last season.
Yeah.
And still where he was. Well, I mean, everybody's opinions, and I'll give you that. But I've criticised him, but I think we need to stick with the manager. We need, you know, if a new manager comes in, it's I don't like you player, I don't like that player, I don't like this player, and bringing more players in. It's going to take another 2 years to get to where we are now. And what's going to happen for those 2 years? And if it doesn't, we get rid of another manager, you know, and who would we replace him with? And don't tell you Graham Potter, but, you know.
Or Sean Dyche, with the greatest respect.
Or Sean Dyche, please, no. I mean, I think
may I just point out the fact that there's a certain team that chop and change their manager that rhyme with Fopford, right? And look what happens to them. Look what happens to these teams. We said this, Chris.
Is it Chelsea you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Spot on. You're right. But they're another one as well, you could argue. Although they haven't fallen away from grace as much as maybe they probably deserve to with the way they rotated out 3 managers. But still, the point still stands. We both made this point in agreement, didn't we? The only 2 managers in this division that have been given any amount of remote time and have rewarded their backing with success in terms of commitment to a club is Jurgen Klopp and Guardiola. Your thoughts on the manager? I'm not the biggest Pep fan. I still don't think he's proved he can do it at a level that isn't already pre-made. Doesn't matter. The thing is, they've stuck by him. They've given them the faith. They've given them the money, and it's brought them success.
Yes,
Brendan's done that to a point so far. And I tell you what, if he's still here in 5 years' time, and we've got a Carabao Cup in the cabinet, and we've got a Champions League group, you know, and we're finishing in European spots, I'm all for Brendan being there for another 5-6 years if that's the way he's going to go about it. So don't you know, because you might end up just regretting what you get rid of at some point.
Yeah,
I know we didn't have the control with the O'Neill, but I know O'Neill wanted to leave because he felt he'd done all he could.
Yeah,
but at least allow Brendan to do that. And can we have the same, please? Can we have an extended O'Neill with Brendan, and he does another 4 or 5 seasons, brings years of success, and then goes, okay, somebody else needs to take you further. I can no longer do that. I'd rather it go like that than us just going, oh, well, we had a bad 4 months. Out you go. Who's next? Because it don't work like that.
Yeah,
you're very right with what you said, mate.
Yeah, mate. Thank you so much. I've now got to go and be all smiles on the Newcastle channel and try that. I'm really happy. So think of me. We'll be back on Wednesday. Are you with us on Wednesday? I know you got one missing soon.
Wednesday, I'm not with you because I am actually attending.
No, Brad. I've got you down here. No, Brad, for the match. So have a extremely good time. I'm sure you will in that empty stadium. And,
I'll be in the fullest stand of that stadium. I can tell you that much, mate.
which, well, of course, yes, you will be. You'll be an honorary seagull for the day, I'm sure, mate. Yeah, thanks very much.
With my good ear, listening out on the tannoy for the Everton Leicester scoreline, I'll be having my ear out for telling what the half-time and full-time score is.
Yeah, and happy Easter to you as well.
Happy Easter,
unfortunately, Jesus may have, but Brad didn't rise again to get us 3 points today. But never mind, never mind. And as Scott says, how dare you miss the show? Well, I think if it's talking to us lot or being with Chloe, you can't blame him, really, can you? Yeah. Brad, have a good weekend, mate, and have a good match.
I will do, mate. And I can't imagine the Etihad would like me doing a tactic board in the middle of their stadium.
Yeah. I'll see you on Tuesday for the prediction show, of course.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
That we have done very, very bad in this week, but let's not mention that.
Very true. But you can already pencil me in for a draw for the Brighton game because it's working. That's all I'm saying, mate. That's all I'm saying. It's working.
All right, mate. Take care. Thanks very much.
Take care, mate. See you later. Oh, he talks himself out. I've been your host. For a second there, I didn't know how to react, mate. I was like, "Oh."
At least I kept myself in the show. I just took it out. I stayed in the studio.
Yeah, and they say this is a real show.
All the best, mate. Take care.
Well,
I can just say, actually, I just did that for Chloe.
Oh, right. You're a gem. It's not true what they say about you.
Take care, mate. Have a good one.
Take care, mate.
Cheers. Press the right button this time. Honestly, if you watch the watch along, you will know what it's like. Rainy Toon Talk, looking forward to you jumping on my show. Appreciate it, Chris. Yeah, I'll be there 7:45. I'll put a smile on my face. Do my best to. Yeah. Well, I'll have a quick beer before then. Maybe steer myself up, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks to Scott for moderating. Newcastle or Leicester fan. Thanks for taking part. Do you know what? It probably the fairest result would have been a draw, but Newcastle, they've had it bad for a few years. They've got the new owners in, which is fine. We've all got new owners. We've all got money. It's just different amounts of money. They've stayed up. They stayed up, and that's good luck to them with that, and good luck to them next season. We'll just it's our turn to win next year. It seems to be going like that. So I will see you 7:45 on Rainy Toon Talks channel, and then I will be back tomorrow with the opposition show when I've got Brad. Another not this Brad, no, not this Brad, another Brad on from a Newcastle channel. I feel like I'm an honorary magpie. I've been on that many Newcastle channels. And then that's at 7 tomorrow, and at 9 o'clock it is the football review show with Lou. Take care, everybody. Thanks very much. Wasn't exactly what we wanted, but you know what? It's kind of season over, really. Let's concentrate on Europe. Let's bring that Europa Conference home. Let's make the first name on that new European trophy, say, Leicester City. Wouldn't that be good? I think so. Stay safe, guys. Have a good Easter, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye now.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.